Hi everybody, Levi Clay here, and I'm back again to do another book review. And in the interest of disclosure, and disclosure is very important when it comes to reviews, especially on my channel where the whole point is you should be able to trust what I'm telling you. This book was sent to me by the author, by Tim Quinn, but I am not in any way being asked to review it. I am not being paid to review this book. He just sent me his books to check out, and I thought some of them were really good. And I thought you guys might enjoy some of the concepts in them because I enjoyed some of the concepts in them. So, as the title would suggest, the first book we're going to look at is Fluid Soloing, Arpeggios for Lead Rock Guitar. So this is part of a 4-book series written by Tim for Mel Bay. And parts 1, 2, 3 and 4 are all worth a look. But in particular, I really enjoyed parts 1 and 4, though I'm sure I'll talk about those in the future. So part 1, Arpeggios for Lead Rock Guitar. Why is this something that might be of interest to you? Well, I'm currently working through and enjoying Joe Stump's new Berkeley Press sweep picking book, Arpeggios for Guitar, whatever that thing's called. And it's okay, but it kind of misses the mark a little bit because it's not really a comprehensive collection of arpeggios. It's neoclassical triad arpeggios. Whereas Tim's book runs the gamut. It really does have a pretty comprehensive list of arpeggios that you'll work through. So when we talk about the first section of the book, Tim's talking about rapid fire arpeggios, so ways to finger things with rapid fire fingerings. Now actually, when you dig a little bit deeper into all of this, the really interesting aspect of this is kind of the way he encourages you to think about the fretboard. Now, fretboard navigation is something that obviously I've talked about a lot, and I'm often having to sit and defend the cage system. And Tim's not really working with the cage system here, and of course that's fine. I often say that I'm not a caged player, I just understand and use the cage system as well as everything else that I do. And Tim's presentation of arpeggios is a great way of kind of seeing the middle spaces between these things. If I take, as an example, a C major 7 arpeggio. Now you might play a C major 7 arpeggio like this. So that would be that's a caged position really. That's an E shape, starting on the second finger on the low E string. That's 8 on the low E, 7, 10 on the A, 9, 10 on the D, and then 9, 8, 7 on the G, B and E, ending on 8. And that is a way that I would play that arpeggio. But the way Tim kind of breaks things down is what would you do if you needed to play a C major 7 arpeggio but you weren't starting on the second finger? Because as improvisers, we don't always know where we're going to end up with our licks. It's totally possible that we might, land on this C note on our first finger. Then what? Am I going to jump to the 7th fret with my first finger? No, probably not. Not if I hear a C major 7 arpeggio. The guitar is a very tricky instrument for this because we have multiple fingerings for arpeggios. We don't have that problem on piano. You don't have that problem on the saxophone. But because of the nature of our stringed instrument, it's very tricky to nail arpeggios. So it's also, I think, quite important to be able to play your arpeggios. I've just played C major 7 starting on the second finger. What happens if I'm on the first finger? The fingering is there, I know it and I understand it. Exactly the same as this. Same notes, but just fingered in a different way. What about if I land on the C with my third finger? I'm pulling weird faces there because I find that one quite awkward, but it is there. What if I started on the fourth finger? I actually don't even think Tim has that one in the book. It's an awkward fingering. It's a cage fingering, G shape. Anyway, point is, I've now got a C major 7 that I can play starting on my little finger, third finger, second finger, first finger. That's a lot of information. Now, this kind of approach is broken down by Tim over multiple different arpeggios, major 7s, minor 7, dominant 7s, diminished. There's even there's minor 7 flat 5s. There's also minor 6 sounds. The minor 6 arpeggios are great arpeggios. It's actually just an inversion of a minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio, but still a cool sound that's worth knowing. And these, of course, are tackled on each string set, so doing things on the E string, A string, and D string. Now, that's not actually the way Tim has broken them down, but that's what I took from it, and actually that I enjoyed that, because I don't tend to go through that level of detail with my students for things like arpeggios. And maybe I should, because Tim's done a great job with this. So, as things develop in the book, he moves on to all of these fun position-shifting etudes, and it's useful. And that's really where I like this book. I don't think that this book is for the student. I don't think this is for the beginner or intermediate guitar player. I feel that this is the kind of book that every teacher should read. Every teacher should get to grips with, because it should help to influence your methodology in your teaching. In my playing and my teaching, a big part of what I do is I traverse the neck a lot. I'm always playing up and down the neck, and people always ask me about that. How do you do that? And for me, it's, lots and lots and lots of experimentation, years and years of experimentation to get comfortable with all these positions on the neck. You can do that with Tim's book because he's got a lot of examples of how to shift positions. Now, I'm not going to play an example from the book, only because, I've read the entire book a couple of times while I was on holiday, but I've not sat and practiced all of the exercises note for note, but I can take concepts from them. So you might take something, if you're playing in B minor, we might have something like this. Words to that effect. Stuff like that is fun and challenging. You might not have considered, shifting. However it is you shift around the neck and traverse positions. That to me is fun and useful and worth the price of entry. Anything that encourages you to do things in new, fresh and interesting ways, worth your time. Now, I like to be honest, so let's be honest. There are elements of the book that I'm not crazy about. The version Tim sent me does have the CDs included, or CD I should say. The updated versions, if you purchase it now on Amazon, link below. If you purchase those versions, they don't come with CDs, which is fine. You download all of the audio, which, cool by me. That's how my books work, actually. My issue is that not all of the examples have been recorded. Now, for me personally, I don't consider that an issue, because I don't use CDs for books or audio examples for books anyway. I can read notation absolutely fine. So it's not an issue for me, but it may be something that is of issue to you. So that's worth pointing out. I did spot a few inconsistencies in the fingerings that seem to be more tab errors than anything else. But again, as a proficient teacher, these are the sorts of things that you should also spot while you're doing things and go, well, that doesn't fit in the logic of the fingering here. That note isn't where it's supposed to be. I can correct that. And the only other thing that I really took minor issue with, and it is minor issue, is Tim points out that in some of the longer examples that sometimes other notes are used that aren't strictly in the arpeggio, the nines and the flat sixes in particular. But those are good notes. Those are fine notes to play. Nothing wrong with playing those notes. In fact, when I was playing that example earlier, or trying to play that example earlier, where I go... What I want to do is go... Now that's playing the ninth. When I do stuff like that, you know, it's in my nature to put those notes in there as well because they sound good. But just for the sake of being strict arpeggios for lead guitar, I feel that the examples could have been worked so they didn't include those notes. You know, Tim does point out that these notes sound good, but more often than not, sometimes those notes are being played because they make the licks a little bit easier to play. And yeah, I feel from an education perspective, that's not really necessary. But again, if you're learning from this book in the way that the audience that I would expect to be looking at this book, I don't think stuff like that's going to present much of an issue to you anyway, because you're of a decent level and you'll be able to either develop those ideas and turn them into their own things, or you'll be able to remove those additional notes and put in the correct notes. So yeah, there's that. It's also worth pointing out that in the very last part of the book, Tim does start combining ideas from the other books. Now, if you only have book 1, then the ideas from books 2, 3 and 4 are going to seem a little bit alien. It doesn't bother me that much, actually. When I was looking at it, I saw some examples from book 4 and I thought, wow, those look like fun. I can't wait to look at that book. So I see why it was done. Yeah, all in all, honestly, a very good book. Is it a guitar book that you must own? I think it depends on who you are and what your goal as a musician is. This is a very comprehensive book that really delves into the ins and outs of how the fretboard is put together and how you can connect the fretboard together. And I know that that's definitely something that appeals to a lot of people. Certainly not an essential thing. You're not going to struggle to play without this as a book, but honestly it is a book that I do enjoy, and already in the last couple of weeks I have started referencing some of the things, concepts and shapes that Tim talks about in my own teaching with my own students. So it's something that I can honestly put my seal of approval on. Definitely a fan, and I can't wait to talk to you about some of the other ones because there's some really fun ideas in those. Anyway, so what do you guys think? Is it a book that you have heard of? Are you interested in checking it out? Link below to Amazon where you can check it out and maybe pick up a copy. Again, disclosure, if you buy it on Amazon, I will make maybe 50 cents or $1. Who knows? A little bit of money. Again, supports this channel. So yeah, thanks very much, Tim, for sending the book, and I hope you're happy in that I enjoyed them. I'm sure that was your intention. You know, for anyone else watching, Tim is a viewer of this channel, likes my content, and you know, just wanted to reach out and say, I've enjoyed your content here. Have these. I know you enjoy guitar books. Check them out. So it's very kind of him. And if anybody else wants to do similar things, send me books or things to check out, and you're willing to have my criticism or compliments, if you're brave like Tim, then, you know, by all means get in touch. Lastly, if you would like to really help support this channel, best way to do that is Patreon. These guys here support my channel at a $10 tier. Massively appreciative of those guys. They make my videos look and sound better. See this microphone? It's not a cheap microphone. Sounds good though, right? That is the intention. So yeah, thank you so much to you guys. I want to say guys and gals, but I don't think there's any gals on that list. Thanks to you guys. Yeah, thanks to you guys so much. Your support is, you know, really appreciated. You can support me on Patreon though for as little as $1. Do so by clicking up here, checking out my Patreon. Lots of cool stuff going on there. I've got a cool Facebook group, private for all of my members, where we do lots of transcription challenges and things. Good fun. Subscribe by clicking this button down here, and check out 2 more of my videos here and here. Thank you so much for the support, guys, and I will see you for another video soon. Bye.